Buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Live around the world on the internet at michaeldukeshow.com and across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Good Monday morning to you. Oh, baby. Well, it warmed up. It's above zero, but that 10 inches of snow is... I mean, they can't decide. Let's see. We're going to snow on you. We're going to freeze you out. We're going to snow on you. We're going to freeze you out. We're going to snow on you. I guess welcome to Alaska. This is just how it's going to be. Well, it is what it is today, but we are ready to go and get you through the day, to give you all the information that's fit to print and to get you squared away for the remainder of the day. Welcome to the program. And thanks for coming in this morning. It is, oh man, I got to tell you, it was a beautiful weekend here at the old radio ranch, and just enjoyed a little downtime and got things ready to go. And then the snow began on Sunday, mid yesterday sometime. And it just got deeper and deeper. Still 26 below in Fairbanks, says Debbie, but currently about 2 degrees here in Wasilla. And of course, Anchorage has closed their schools today to in-person learning. They're doing remote learning today because they got like between 8 and 14 inches across the city, and still coming down in some areas out there. So it's it's winter. It's a winter time. What's on the program for today? Well, let's get into it. So first and foremost, in hour one, we're going to talk about some of the things that are going on up north in the Fairbanks North Star Borough. We are, well, I'll be honest with you, ever since leaving Fairbanks, I have not been paying as close attention to the stuff that's going on up there because, I mean, I was hip deep in it when I lived up there, right? I mean, I was on the assembly. I did all that stuff and paid close attention. I still am a property owner for the borough, but I just have not been. I got a lot of other things going on. Luckily, folks keep me in the loop on this. And we heard all about the meeting that's happening. There's going to be a joint work session of the Borough School Board tonight at 6 p.m., where I'm sure they're going to talk about they're going to spend more money on lobbyists. So they're going to spend public money on lobbyists to go down and lobby for more public money from the legislature. I could see it already. And now there's also going to be on Thursday, the Borough Assembly is now holding a special session on an ordinance that they want to stuff into a special election. And this is to essentially bust the tax cap that's been in place for 30 plus years in the Fairbanks North Star Borough. And by conservative estimates, has kept the size and scope of the borough government down and probably saved local borough taxpayers probably a quarter of $1 billion over the course of the last 30 years. It has kept the size and scope of borough government from growing. And right now, they're talking about increasing it by over $1 million. Now, of course, they want you to know that they're going to increase education funding with this money. That's the whole point. Remember, this is all about the children. Unfortunately, that's not how the Alaska Constitution works. The Constitution strictly prohibits the dedication of funds. So they may have the best of intentions, the absolute gold-plated best of intentions of making sure that this money goes straight to education funding, but that's, again, not how it works. There are no dedicated funds. So this money will be available to be spent in any way that they see fit, period. So on top of that, it would also permanently increase, it would alter the tax cap in subsequent years. And it's coming up for renewal this next year. Now, here's the thing. They couldn't wait. They couldn't wait to put on a modified tax cap. They couldn't wait no, they need a special election to get it done on April the 30th, which, I mean, I have never seen government move so fast in my life. Here it is, the end of January. They want to see it on the ballot in like 90 days. And they want to get it all done, of course, before the end of the school, for the end of the school year and everything else. But the fact that they want to bust the tax cap in Fairbanks, which is kind of just a perennial, it's been there forever thing, holding back the size and scope of government, is just astonishing, quite honestly. It's astonishing. It's brazen. It's bold. It is insane. And so we're going to be talking about that with Tammie Wilson here in just a moment. She's going to be joining us and talking with us about that. And we will see what she has to say here on this, and get a full rundown on her, and see how she's, what her thoughts are, where she's going, what's happening, and we will go from there. Before we do that, though, we're going to be joined by Craig Compeau, who's going to come in and tell us about my friend Barret, who is Barret, who is a tanner, excuse me, up in Fairbanks. Al has done a lot for the community, and he's just a good guy. And unfortunately, his business, the Fairbanks Fur Tannery, burned down at the beginning of the winter. And so he's really struggling, and we're working on right now. They're throwing a fundraiser for him, and we're going to talk to Craig about that here in just a few minutes. Coming up, excuse me, later on in the program as well, we'll cover some of the other headlines, including some of the new bills that are coming out. The fact that for those of you who are huge fans of Donald Trump, you don't have to worry about him not appearing on the ballot. James Brooks over at the Alaska Beacon talks about the decision from Friday. U.S. District Court Judge Joshua Kindred dismissed a lawsuit that sought to block the Republican candidate from appearing on the ballots this fall. He cited technical flaws with the lawsuit and concluded that if it failed to state a proper claim, failed to demonstrate that the court had jurisdiction, and concluded that the plaintiff's claims are unsupported by a cognizable legal theory. That's the first time I've ever uttered that word. Cognizable legal theory. The plaintiff is John Anthony Castro, who is a long-shot presidential candidate, recently accused of filing false tax returns. It doesn't sound like this guy is like hugely above board. Castro has filed dozens of similar federal lawsuits across the country. 35 states have seen Trump's candidacy challenged by Castro or other plaintiffs, but most of those challenges have either failed or have not yet been decided. Colorado, the state Supreme Court ruled that Trump had violated the insurrection clause and ruled came from the and its ruling to bar him from the ballot came from a state court challenge. Maine also disqualified his candidacy with a decision by its Secretary of State. Both of those decisions have been appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. No challenges have been filed in Alaska state courts against his qualifications, and Castro's suit was the only one in the Alaska federal court system. And again, Kindred cited all the technical flaws with Castro's filing. And so apparently he's going to appear on the ballot. There you go. So everybody, you guys can rejoice. Everybody gets a choice. Everybody gets a choice at this point. So that's going to be good stuff. We've got the full rundown of every bill. James Brooks also did an amazing job. I mean, this would take a full hour to go through every bill, which we might do in part over the next couple days, that has currently been filed in the legislature with a short summary. James Brooks over at the Alaska Beacon. And I'm going to go ahead and drop a link to that in the chat room for folks to take a look at. And if they want to read through it as they go through, they could see it there. I've just put the link in the chat room there as well to discuss that. We'll also be doing a little bit of doom to doom. We've got a new version. This is one of our new features that we're doing for the year. And they're mostly going to subsist of people who are out on the street and how, I mean, it's kind of tongue in cheek, but it's basically we're doomed as a society. I mean, based on the reactions and the answers that we're getting, mostly from college students. That's what blows my mind. These are college students. We'll have some discussions on that and talk about that here in just a little bit as well. What else did I had one more thing that I'm trying to Alaska Airlines. They've started again. They're flying the convertibles again. They've begun flying the Boeing 737 MAX 9 jetliners again for the first time since they were grounded after that panel flew off the side of the airplane. The airline said in a statement that they have completed their final inspection of their group of the aircraft. They resumed flying the MAX 9 with a flight from Seattle to San Diego on Friday afternoon. Last Wednesday, the FAA approved the inspection and maintenance process that Alaska Airlines was using to return the planes to flying, and they immediately began inspections that night, and they are ready to go. So it's there you go. They're all ready to you pack a lunch, pack a parachute, pack a lunch and a parachute. They're flying them up again, which I mean both Alaska and United were struggling because a big majority of their fleet are made up of these Boeing 737 MAX 9 planes, and they were having a hard time. Let's just put it that way. So anyway, if you're traveling, good to know. Good to know. All right, we're coming up on the break, so we're going to come up to this, and then Craig Compeau is going to join us on the other side, and we will talk with him about where is it right here? The fundraiser for our friend. It's the Beast Feast. The Beast Feast to help Barret after his devastating fire that destroyed the Fairbanks Fur Tannery. We'll talk about that with Craig Compeau here in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, let's get to it here. What do we got going on? I see Craig Compeau is in the green room eating all of my virtual donuts and drinking all my virtual coffee, which have no calories, by the way. That's the benefit of it. Being virtual donuts, they don't Of course, they don't have much taste either, but, that's okay. That's okay. We're going to get to Craig here in just 1 second. Can you do the Doom segment in the voice of the Swedish Doom Goblin? Well, I'm going to have to Google that now. The Swedish Doom Goblin. Doom, da-doom, doom. We're doomed. We'll get to that here in just a second. Let's see. If Don doesn't manage to prevail, the best hire a competent VP. Okay. I'm scrolling backwards here to see some of the comments. Duplicity, shenanigans, double dealing. In other words, politics as usual. Yes. Yes, that's exactly what's going on. Must be nice to get fresh snow. I have a ton of frozen landmines in my yard. Oh man, there is so much fresh snow. Oh, I would ship it down to you by the bucket load right now if I could, Bill. It's just that good. All right. I think we are neither do I, says Brian. He also does not have any taste, just like the virtual donuts. All right, let's get over here to StreamYard to the green room and see if we can get Craig Compeau on board, and we'll see what he's got going on. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Craig Compeau. How are you, my friend? How are things going?
I'm well, Michael. How are you?
It's another beautiful day. At least it's not 26 below where I'm at. That's all I can say right now.
You don't miss that, huh?
Man, I tell you what, I'm Alaskan, but I apparently am just not that Alaskan. I just do not revel in the 30 and 40 below. When I was younger, I did. I was like, it's 40 below. We can do it. And now I'm just like, why did I ever waste energy on that? I mean, when it hits 10 below up here, I'm like, oh, burr. Okay, I'm just going to, but no, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy where I'm at. But everything good with you?
Yeah. Business is good. Family's good. Things are good up here. It's this weather, I always tell people the best thing about these cold snaps is Fairbanks will never be more than 100,000 people. And I like that.
No.
It's just going to keep them out. That couple blasts of 40 below, it's a great thing.
I figured on average, Craig, I did my time where I lived. It was consistently almost 10 below colder than anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, like I always tell the story that last winter before we left Fairbanks and moved down to the Matsu, that last winter, it was 57 below or colder for 3 weeks solid that winter. And I was like, I just looked at Terry. I looked at Terry and I said, I'm done. I'm just done, waking up every night, putting your hand on the heat register, make sure the furnace is still running, going out and firing up the cars an hour and a half early to get them to, it was nuts. It was just nutty.
We're pretty crazy.
Yeah, but I do, I love getting back to Fairbanks. I get back to Fairbanks 3-4 times a year, and I'm there just long enough to get my fix of the people that I miss. And then I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I left this place, because it's cold and frozen. So then I come back down to the banana belt down here in the deal. All right, well, we're ready to go here and talk a little bit about Al. And I'd like to talk, a little bit about what Al's done, because Al is kind of the quiet, unassuming, but passionate guy. He does a lot of things. And I think people, they may not recognize the name, but he's behind the scenes doing a lot of things, pulling for hunters and fishers and subsistence type users and just outdoorsmen and women across the state. And I think it would be good to get a little bit of that. And then we'll talk about the fundraiser itself. Okay.
Yeah. Al is, I tell everybody, if you've ever pulled,
that means we're going to rejoin the radio here. That ding means that we're going to rejoin the radio. So hold the line for just a second,
Sure.
Craig. I will be right back to you. Craig Compeau is our guest. We're going to continue with him here in just a second. Please like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the stuff that we need to do. Let's get only 7 people have liked the show. What the hell's the matter with you people? All right, we're going to be back. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. Let's do it.
Public enema number 1. Oh, wait, sorry. Public enemy number 1, which makes more sense. On the other hand, he's a little bit of a pain in the Michael Duke Show.
I am not. I'm a perfect angel. I've never offended anyone anywhere. You can't prove it. Show me on this doll where I hurt you. That's where my radio show has hurt you. We're jumping into it right now. Craig Compeau, who is a icon in the Fairbanks area, madman, who has done a lot for the community and comes around. He's here today to talk with us about a mutual friend, Al Barret, who is again kind of behind the scenes. Craig may be the face of a lot of crazy stuff that happens at Fairbanks, but Al is the guy that has been working hard over the last 25 years. I know he's been listening to the show. He and I have been talking on the air for 25 years almost about various things. And he's an avid sportsman and conservationist. He wants to make sure that everybody gets their chance at experiencing the great outdoors and going out and hunting and fishing and doing all those things. And he's faced some trouble. So let's talk with Craig Compeau a little bit here. Craig, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, Michael. Yeah, Al Barret is, if any Alaskan or even out-of-stater that's ever pulled a trigger, cast a line, they owe a debt of thanks to Al Barret. Al's on the Board of Game, probably, and we follow the Board of Game close, our Laundry House Gang group, the best Board of Game member we've ever had. Dedicated. He's on all the ACs. Right now he's in Kotzebue at a Board of Game meeting. He goes to working groups, sheep working groups, bison working groups. He has just committed his life to helping people get the best harvest opportunity they can. And of course, he's run the Fairbanks Fur Tannery in Fairbanks, which you mentioned earlier, just burned to the ground in December. Devastating loss for Al. He lost everything. Yeah. And so I tell people, boy, if you can't reach out and help this guy, you're not a real Alaskan. This guy is committed. He's 100% committed to the cause.
Yeah, no, Al has been involved in many of these things for many, many years. Like I said, we've had him as a guest on the program. He's been a caller. He's been a listener. He is totally engaged in everything that is, like you said, if you've pulled a trigger or cast a fishing line in somewhere, he's a guy who's been fighting for these things for years. And quite honestly, again, the tannery was your one-stop shop there for anything regards to leather making and tannering and things like that for your hides and everything. And unfortunately, I mean, he was all in on this thing, and now it's burned down, and he's struggling. And he's given to us for so much. Now would be a great time to give back a little bit.
Well, that's right. And I think we're all obligated to do that. And there's several ways to do that. As you mentioned, we're going to have a fundraiser at our shop it's going to be February 18th. It's the Sunday before President's Day. It's going to be at Compeau's at 4122 Boat Street. We're going to have a lot of auction. People have called me and said, what can I give? What can I do for this? We're going to have a bunch of auction items. They're going to be listed on the Alaska Outdoor Council website initially, and then any of the units that don't sell, we'll have at our Beast Feast. The event is going to be a Beast Feast where you bring your favorite wild game dish. We've got Virgil Umpenauer up here from the Interior Alaska Fish is going to provide a bunch of food. We're going to have moose chili, moosegetti. We're going to have all kinds of good stuff. And we're going to just try and raise money for this guy, try and get his feet back on the ground. You don't go and buy some of these trapping tools, wheels, and all these, tanning supplies. You don't buy them on Amazon. And they've shut down so much trapping in the States. You have to look around for places they've mothballed because some of this stuff, it's really difficult to find. And
right.
Al always
almost irreplaceable. Some of this stuff is almost irreplaceable. Like you said, people have taken such a dim view of trapping and tanning and leather working and making those kind of things. I mean, it's definitely, it's almost a lost art. And so a lot of the equipment that he lost is probably close to irreplaceable. So he's going to have to try and figure out how to make that happen.
That's exactly right, Mike. And so we want to help with that. So whatever we can do, we've got Dave Pruz up here, who's the mayor, of course, and also a realtor. He's looking for a facility for Al to move back into. Al's looking for some of this equipment we talked about, but that takes money. And again, here's a guy who literally put his business behind the cause consistently. He has consistently gone to these meetings and sacrificed the business. He's just always put himself in second place, and it's time we put Al up front. And we can do that with this fundraiser. You can also donate. The easiest way, if you can't make it to the fundraiser, you can go to alaskaoutdoorcouncil.org and hit the donate button. It goes right to Al's picture, and you can donate $20, $50, $100,000, whatever you can do. We really need to help this guy. I mean, honest to God, this guy, he's a walking codified. He knows the law, but more than that, in his heart, he's passionate about this and just making sure everybody has a harvest opportunity. He's just a really great guy, and it's time we got up to the plate and took a swing for Al. So
yeah, I'm posting up the link right now, or the page, the banner that you sent out for Al up there here on the Facebook page right now. If folks want to figure it out, they don't have to attend. I mean, it would be fun to attend, but it's not necessary. And again, all they have to do is go to alaskaoutdoorcouncil.org, and they can give money there. I mean, $10, $20, $50, $100, whatever it is, every little bit helps. This is what Alaskans are supposed to do, right? I mean, we come together when there's a crisis or something like this. We come together to help each other out. And that's what it's all about in the long run, is helping each other out. And he's done a lot to help us. So here's the opportunity to give back and help him.
That's right. And starting in February, the listeners can go to that alaskaoutdoorcouncil.org page, bid on some of these fantastic items. We got Joe Maddie at the Alaska Fur donated a survival kit, which is a nice pair of beaver gloves, beaver hat, beaver ruff. We've got Talon Air down there out of Soldotna, who's donated a fishing trip for 4 into Crescent Lake, one of my favorite places to go. I go every year. I fly in. We've got guns. We've got just all kinds of good stuff going to be donated. You can do a buy it now price online, or you can come to the auction and bid on it if it's still around. So, and also, Mike, kind of fun, we're trying to get a tree hugger dunk tank. We're actually going to put a National Park Service Ranger character in the dunk tank at the shop. If we can get it under our overhead doors, we're going to have a Park Service Ranger dunk tank where you can throw a ball and dunk a park ranger. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
I love it. I think that would be an absolute blast. And of course, all to give back and help out Al, who again has done a lot. And I think that's the thing is that I can't oversell how much Al has done, because I mean, there's a lot of things that I think most people just don't know what he's been a part of for the last 25, 30 years in this in the Fairbanks community.
Yeah, I mean, 2 days after the fire, I asked Al. I said,
"Can you
Al,
hear me, Craig?"
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me, Michael? I'm still there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead. Yep.
I was just gonna say,
Yep.
The kind of guy he is. 2 days after the fire, we went down and he said, "What can we do?" Al, he goes, "Don't worry about it right now." He says, "I got to go to a bison working group meeting here." I mean, he's focused on the public and the cause, and I mean, devastating fire, and here he is just focused on a bison working group. I mean, it's unbelievable. He's that kind of guy. So yeah, we don't drive by people when their cars are broke down at 40 below, and we don't abandon our friends who do everything for us when they have a devastating fire. So appreciate all the help. If you have an item to donate, you can email or call me, but Craig at compeaus.com. That's COMPEAUS.com. Would love to get items. We're trying to get something of decent value there, so we don't have to do a ton of them, but it's all volunteers, and we really want to help this guy, Mike.
Yep. So they're currently looking for three different levels of auction items in the $500, the $1,000, or the $2,500 range. If you have something, maybe sitting around in your garage or your closet that you want to get rid of, and you want to donate it to a good cause, now's the time to do it. And of course, the big dinner is going to be February 18th, Sunday, February 18th, from 3 to 7 p.m. over at Compeau's, which is on Boat Street, which is right next door to Al. I mean, he was a neighbor in the old tannery there. And their suggested donation to help him out and get in the door is $100 if you want to help out. But even if you've only got 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 or whatever it is, you could always go without you don't have to go to the fundraiser. You don't have to go. You just go to alaskaoutdoorcouncil.org, and they've got it right there on the top of their page where it says support Al Barret. I just went and looked at the page while we were doing it to get the link there, and they would be happy to do that. Or if you have something you want to donate for the auctions, Craig@compos.com would be the place to go. And if folks want to find out more, they just call you, Craig, or send you an email, or what do they do?
Yeah, they can call 907-388-2541, or just email me if you can't get through to Craig@compos.com. We'll make arrangements to get the product. We'll get it posted on the website, and they'll feel a lot better next time they pull the trigger.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Craig, we'll do it alaskaoutdoorcouncil.org if you want to go directly to donate, or you can go and send an email to Craig@compos.com to get it done as well. Before I let you go, Craig, anything, I know you're always got some kind of crazy thing percolating in the wind. Anything that we should be looking out for? New music, new songs, new videos, new reality shows that you're going to be a part of?
I've got a new Biden song I'll have to send you. I do the AlaskanSongs.com. I have the musical parodies. You can listen to them for free, or you can buy them for $1 or something. But the main thing there is it's just a lot of fun. We poke fun at the feds and the liberal politicians and have a lot of fun. We've done everything from Berkowitz songs to Joe Biden songs, and just have a lot of fun with it. The hot one right now is called Average Fairbanks Winter. And it's an old one that Roger McGill sang, but it's great. I'll send it to you. It talks about living in 40 below. It's a lot of fun.
I've done that. The warden done give me my I did my 45 years, and the warden paroled me, so I felt like I could,
good for you.
I could get out.
I'm heading for Mexico next week for a little while, so I got to get out of here.
I got out. They let me out on good behavior. That's what they let me out. Yeah. So, all right, Craig. Well, again, alaskaoutdoorcouncil.org if you want to donate directly for Al Barret's fundraiser. Otherwise, it will be February the 18th, Sunday, from 3 to 7 p.m. at Compos down on Boat Street. You could send Craig an email if you want to help out, either volunteer time, or if you got some you got some auction items or something that you want to clean out your garage with, maybe a gun or a boat or a canoe or something that you want to donate. Craig@compos.com, and your phone number one more time, Craig.
Yeah, it's 907-388-2541, Mike.
All right. Well, thank you, my friend. I sure appreciate you coming on board, and thanks for helping Al out. And I haven't spoken to Al in a while, so tell him my thoughts are with him, and we'll do whatever we can to help raise awareness and get him squared away.
And thanks for what you do, Mike. It's a big help. It really is.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, sir. Thanks for coming on board today.
Yep.
Craig Compeau, our guest here on the program today, getting things squared away and ready to go. All right. Well, that brings us up to, wow, we came right up to the next break. Look at how that timing, that's like I are a radio professional or something. Yeah, I know. It surprises me as well. All right, we're going to come back. We got more. Some of the stories that are going on around the state, and the doomed segment. Doom. Just because I can't help it, man. I just cannot help it. I gotta talk about it because I'm just so astonished. We'll have more in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Back with more right after this.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay, where can we find the songs that he talked about? That would be at alaskasongs.com. Is that right? I think that's what he said. Am I right? No, Alaskan Songs AlaskanSongs.com. I'm trying to get the whole thing to pop up. Music to make you laugh. There we go. The laugh broke the internet there for a second. AlaskanSongs.com. There you go. You can go read. You can go see all the stuff that he's got there as well. So I don't know what I just did, but I just broke something hard. Like there you go. And yes, who was it? I think it was Barbara that said, "Can someone just donate money?" Yes, you can just donate money. All you got to do is go to alaskaoutdoorcouncil.org, and you can, which the link is in the chat room there. That's all you got to do. You just got to go there, and you can donate, a few bucks, 20, 30, 50, 100 bucks, whatever it is, to help out Al. There you go. And just get it done. And if you want those songs from Craig, you're fading away, says Brian. Yeah, I killed a bunch of stuff there all of a sudden because, woof, man, things got nasty for a second. I was looking up Craig's site, and all of a sudden, it sucked all the internet in the world right out of my system there. Just imagine if I didn't have the highest internet speed available to us. I mean, that would be, that would be astonishing. Okay. I closed the windows. Hopefully, Brian, that just got better. Hopefully it just got better. I'm going to close some other stuff now that you're making me worry about it. I'll go close some other stuff here and see if that helps. How about that? Oh, we don't need Microsoft Edge. Who cares about, I'm sorry. Nobody needs that. Nobody needs that or that. Don't need that either. I'm just killing a few things while we're here because, again, nobody needs any of that stuff. Okay. I fixed it. Look, you can see my pores. All right. Well, we're ready to go. You might need to switch to Starlink. Coming in clear. I'm coming in clear. Is it clear or is it Clearasil? That's my question. Is it clear? Foot of snow Monday. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I'm not even going to drive into town today. Are you kidding me? I mean, I've got 10 inches of snow I probably could make it out, but I'd be pushing snow all the way out to the road. I mean, from the main road from where I'm at, because there's no snow plows and there's 10 inches of snow here. It is nasty. It is. I mean, this started coming down hard yesterday, and here is where we're at, man. What else should we talk about here? Should we talk about the president's delaying all export gas terminals? Yeah. It's a national thing, but boy, I'll tell you what, it just irritates me. They're just it's just so irritating. It's just this idea that somehow we can virtue signal ourselves into into sainthood or something. It's astonishing. Tammie Wilson is coming on board here in just a few moments. Let me make sure that I got okay. I'm putting stuff in here. Okay, here we go. Nope. Other one. I cannot talk and type at the same time in your email. Okay, gotcha. There you go. We're all good. You need to check out those songs. They are great. Craig does a great job. He does a great job with those songs. He's got a bunch of stuff, and all those songs are hysterical. I can't play them or pull them up because it would crash the whole system at this point, but we'll see what happens. All right, here we go. We're jumping back into it. 15 seconds. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the things. I don't know why I'm talking with my hands, but that's what we're going to do. Do it. Do it now. 14 of you now have liked the show. Thank you. That's nice of you. Okay, welcome back to the program, The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. Tammie Wilson will be joining us in hour 2. She'll be coming on board to talk with us about the latest ordinance in front of the Fairbanks North Star Borough Assembly, where they are trying to rush to the ballot a special election where they get to override the Fairbanks tax cap. Now, of course, they're doing it for the children, okay? Because it's for the children, right? We're going to take this extra $1 million and we're going to we're going to give it to the children. Except for that's not how it works. The Constitution does not allow for dedicated funds, and so they could spend it on any damn thing they want. I mean, that's just how it is. Oh, man. Does it make your head explode? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? All right. So I love this. I just love this whole commentary. Claire Strempel over at the Alaska Beacon's got a article up talking about a new bill which is proposing to make small changes to the Alaska Reads Act. Now, you remember the Alaska Reads Act. In fact, I have to chuckle because of the way that it's written. The first paragraph says it all, right? The first sentence actually says it all. Even the most ardent supporters say the Alaska Reads Act, a controversial law aimed at helping students achieve reading proficiency by the end of 3rd grade, needs to change. It's so controversial to teach kids to read. I don't think we should teach them to read. They might get ideas. We shouldn't teach them to read. Are you kidding me? They might get ideas and question authority. But the question is how or by how much is unlikely to be resolved. There's a new bill from Governor Dunleavy that would make 2 changes to the Reads Act. It would, 1, direct schools to test all students 3 times a year, not just the students whose initial scores indicate they need improvement, but that all students. And it would allow teachers to wait until closer to the end of the year to have the final discussion about whether or not to hold back struggling students so that the latest testing results could be applied to the conversation. From what I'm hearing, and again, none of my kids are in school anymore. I mean, I'm well beyond that phase. I mean, all my kids were homeschooled, so that really wasn't part of but I'm well beyond that. But from what I'm hearing from a lot of parents, there's not a lot of holding kids back anymore. Even kids who can't who can't read. So I don't know how much of a change that actually is, but but there are 2 other things. Those are the 2 changes that Dunleavy wanted to make. There are 2 other things that they wanted to change. And these are the things that the educators who called in to public testimony said they need the most. So stakeholders, they call them. They need money and time. They said, they're generally supportive of the intent of the Reads Act, which who would say that they're not? We want kids to be able to read by the time that by the time they're 9 years old. Well, that seems like a good idea. Your teachers, I would assume you would be supportive of teaching kids to read by 9. But while they're generally supportive of the intent of the act, educators and administrators said it was a strain on already tight resources. Well, maybe you need to reprioritize. I mean, I'm just saying. The superintendent of the Lower Yukon School District said an increase in the base student allocation is crucial. Hey, we need to do this. Now you got to give us more money. I mean, this is something we're supposed to be doing right now, but now that you really want us to do it, now we need more money. The school district spent over $1 million to comply with the Alaska Reads Act in year 1, he said. He said, while we continue to seek grants, because half of that was covered by some kind of federal grant, he said, we still face a minimum annual shortfall of at least $600,000. He said the district has already made deep cuts to school programs to save money. He says, we don't have PE teachers. We don't have art teachers. We don't have music teachers. We don't have all the things that research says that really, make healthy schools. Well, but shouldn't reading, writing, and arithmetic be the... What exactly... What the hell is going on? Right? I mean, what is going on? Oh, and then the teacher of the Stedman Elementary School in Petersburg, she went above and beyond and did the whole personalized reading plan required by law in her spare time because she knew there was just no money to do it. This is something that they're supposed to be. This is mandated. This is constitutionally mandated. And they're acting like this is just so above and beyond everything else. Well, we couldn't possibly. And if you're gonna make us do it, you need to give us more money to do it. Now, Loki Tobin, who's the chair of the Senate Education Committee, said she was quick to read the bill into the committee so that legislators can hear from interested parties and take meaningful action before the end of session. In response to the governor's bill, she said she knew the Reads Act would need some tweaks, but that she'd hope to work on those in an annual convening of educators, parents, students, administrators, early education experts, and indigenous language experts, as the law stipulates. She says, I'm looking for more stakeholder engagement. She's all about getting the public's input and everything else on all this stuff on this bill, but not on that final bill last year where they stuffed it down everybody's throat. Remember that? She's not it's anyway. The hypocrisy of this is just astonishing. All right, let's get over to the Doomed segment. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I got a new segment. We call it Doomed. It's tongue-in-cheek, like we're doomed kind of thing. And it starts with man-on-the-street type interviews with some of the best and brightest minds in America. Most of these interviews take place on university campuses across the country. And this little segment, I wanted to pull it out just so that you could view and share my pain. First of all, they ask a lot of different questions, and these are all general knowledge questions, like what country is the Panama Canal in? Oh, my God. Don't ask that question. Okay. What country is the Panama Canal in? There's a few of those, but my recent favorite is the Civil War. Here are some of the answers to the question is, who fought in the Civil War?
Do you know who fought in the Civil War?
You know who fought in the Civil War?
Yeah.
People.
Yeah.
Soldiers.
You got me there.
People, soldiers. Oh, you got me there. Okay. I mean, that was, it was an answer and it was correct technically, but the next one, oh my God, who fought in the Civil War? Do you know?
Who fought in the Civil War?
You talking about president wise?
No, the people. Who against who?
I don't know that one. I know it had to do with France and I don't know the other one.
France and who? You're close.
France and the British are the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So, damn, I don't know.
France and British are the same
thing.
Who
did they fight against?
Us?
Yes. Do you know who fought in the Civil War?
France and British are the same thing, right? Yes, they are the same thing. Who do they fight against? Us. I mean, again, the best and the brightest that are, but this one takes the cake. This is the one that shows you exactly where all the priorities in the country are when it comes to our young people. Now, I don't know how many people they have to interview to get some of these, you watch a 5-minute video with a dozen people in it who just cannot answer a simple question. And you got to wonder, did you have to go through 5 people to get this person, or 10 or 20? How many people do you have to go through? I mean, because I know it's for the clicks, right? But you just wonder. And then you get this one.
Do you know who fought in the Civil War?
Who fought in the Civil War? Like from the president?
No, like who against who?
It was the Nazis versus Germany. No. Yes. No. I'm gonna say yes, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes. You actually just guessed that?
Nah, yeah. I'm kind of smart.
You didn't know that? Oh. Did they teach you that in school or what?
They taught me it, but I just guessed it now, but
Yeah, so
it's like I forgot, but
yeah,
I mean,
just right in the back of your head and like it came up.
yeah.
How many Kardashian sisters can you name?
Kendall Jenner, Kylie Jenner, Kim Kardashian, Khloe Kardashian, Kourtney Kardashian. Is that all? That's all.
Yeah, that's all of them for sure.
Smart.
Yeah, dude, you're a genius.
I'm kind of smart. The Nazis and the Germans were fighting against each other, and I'm kind of smart. I mean, I knew that in school, but I just guessed right now. But boy, you ask her to name off the 5 Kardashian sisters, and boom, they could just. Now, again, I know what you're saying, but Mike, they went through so many people to get the dumbest. But how many do you really, if a guy's going to go stand on a campus for a day, how many people can he really talk to in 8 hours, right? I mean, how many people can he talk to in 8 hours? And if he ends up with 8 people in a video, which is about the average of 7 to 8 people that he works with, how long does that take? How many people did he really go through to get? But hey, don't worry. They can tell us all about the Kardashians. That's the important part. But who fought in the Civil War? And I don't know why both of those gals asked, you mean the presidents? Why would it make you think and could you have even answered that? That's my question. Could you have even answered that? But they can tell you all about the Kardashians. Doomed. We're doomed. All right, we got to go. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. I mean, that last one is just, I mean, I'm so smart. She says that, right? I'm so smart.
Do you know who fought in the Civil War?
Who fought in the Civil War? Like from the president?
No, like who against who?
It was the Nazis versus Germany. No.
Yes. Oh,
yes. No. I'm gonna say yes, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes. You actually just guessed that?
Nah, yeah. I'm kind of smart.
You didn't know that? Oh.
I'm kind of
Did
smart.
They teach you that in school or what?
They taught me it, but I just guessed it now. But
yeah, so
it's like I forgot, but
yeah,
I mean,
just right in the back of your head and like it came up.
Yeah.
How many Kardashian sisters can you name?
Kendall Jenner.
I'm kind of smart.
Jenner.
I mean, I love this guy too, and he's like, when they get it just absolutely, positively wrong, he's like, yes. France and England, they're the same thing, right? Yes, they're the same thing. Absolutely the same thing. I'm just going to keep doing these because they are just painful. And again, the worst part is when you're on campus, when you're on a university campus that you know these kids are paying, or somebody's paying, maybe not them directly, maybe it's a student. I mean, who knows? But you know they're paying at least $30,000 or $40,000 a year to attend, right? I mean, at least. $30,000 or $40,000 a year to attend. She can't name who fought in the Civil, and that was just one of the answers that this chick gave. She was super special. Okay, she was super special. One of my favorite ones is, you're traveling at 60 miles an hour. You drive for 1 hour. How far have you gone? And the answer almost invariably was, like 20 minutes, like 40 minutes. Like, how did minutes even come into this? I mean, dude, we are so boned. We are so boned at this point. These are the people that vote. They go out there and they'll tell you all about how they've got no. Rick says, I just tuned back into this. Welcome, Rick. Welcome. I mean, whatever you want, baby. Whatever you want to do. Let me reach out to Tammie here real quick. I'll let you guys settle in on this one while I call back to Tammie real quick.
Can we just also say we don't actually need gravity? But that's a different thing.
What do you mean by
I
that?
saw someone do this. Was this a TikTok? We were watching something where someone's like, we don't actually need gravity. We were watching this with me. Like, we actually don't need it.
What do you mean that we don't need gravity?
What if it was never invented?
Invented by who?
Sir Isaac Newton.
Isaac Newton created gravity?
Whoever created gravity, someone did, but we don't actually need it.
There was
like,
a time on Earth before gravity existed?
Yes. Who created gravity, babe? Dan?
It was Isaac Newton, you're right.
It was Isaac Newton, you're right. He invented gravity. I'm going to keep a whole wall of nothing but doomed clips. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep a whole wall of them, and we're just going to throw all that out there.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.
Again, I know that he probably had to go through a handful of people to get to those gems. But again, the question is, if you're going to a campus and you're going to spend a full day there, and you got to interview these people, and he's asking them, he's got to have a conversation with them, and he asks them like 8 or 9 questions. You figure that's got to take a half hour probably for each one. 20 minutes maybe at the least, which means he could get 3 an hour. And if he goes 8 hours, so he's got to go through 24, 30 of them before he finds the 7 or 8, because that's an average. It's 7 or 8 different people that he shows it. So that means 1 in 3, 1 in 4 is this dumb on a college campus. We're doomed. We're absolutely doomed. That's enough internet for today. All right. Hey, look, I see that Tammie Wilson is in the green room. Sounds and looks like she's ready to go. Let's go check her audio real quick before we jump into the top of the hour and see what she has to say. Hello there, young lady. How are you?
Good. How about you? Is it working?
It's Monday. It's working. It's working just fine. It's working good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to say no. I have no idea.
No, it's like a 1 second delay, but we're good. We're good to go. All right. You ready to dive into this thing with both feet?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'm going to put you back into the green room, and we're going to jump into this. Here we go, folks. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. Like and share. Subscribe. Doomed. Oh.
buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Live around the world on the internet at yada, yada, yada. You know, the MichaelDukesShow.com website. Around the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator and more. It is the Michael Dukes Show. It's the Monday edition of the show. Welcome to it. A little bit warmer, a little bit snowier. It's one or the other these days. You either get a lot of snow or you get a little warmth, but usually not. And accordingly, down here in South Central, we just got dumped on since yesterday, another 14, 15 inches. Apparently it's supposed to be sub-zero by tomorrow again. Yay. So, I mean, you know, yay, winter. So anyway, welcome to Alaska. If you don't like the weather, wait 15 minutes. It'll change. That's what it's all about. Hour 2 of the program, we're getting ready to dive into it. We're going to talk about the Fairbanks North Star Borough. And we're going to talk about the latest madness. Now, you've never seen government move fast in your life, except for now. They're looking to absolutely rush a special election in April to the Fairbanks North Star Borough. Why? Because children, they want to bust the tax cap. Now, we're about to talk with Tammie Wilson, former legislator, assemblywoman, the whole thing. She and I have worked pretty diligently over the course of the last 25 years to make sure that, you know, the tax cap and other things have remained in place because it's held back. In fact, under one estimate, it's estimated that the tax cap in Fairbanks, which has been in place for 30 years, has saved borough residents almost $250 million in increases. We've reduced it, ratcheted it down, and, you know, held it back by almost $250 million over the course of 30 years. And they want to go bust it. Why? For children. Because we need to help the children. Of course, what they don't tell you, what they never say, is that the Constitution does not allow for dedicated funds. So once they get that money, they can do whatever the hell they want with it. Now, I'm sure in their heart of hearts, they really want to spend it on education, but that's this year. What happens next year? Because once you've busted it, you've monkeyed with it. So let's get the rundown here. I want to give everybody out there who's in Fairbanks or other parts of the state who have no idea. We're going to give you some background on the tax cap and everything else, and then we'll see what's happening with this. But again, they are, I mean, I've never seen government move at the speed of light, and they are attempting to move right now at the speed of light. Let's get Tammie Wilson on board here this morning to discuss it, and we'll see what she has to say. Good morning, Tammie. How are you?
Good. How about you?
Monday, snowy, thumbs up. I'm here. I'm breathing. Every day above ground's a good day, right? That's where we're at right now. It's crazy. I know you guys are still cold up there. At least it's warmed up a little bit here, but it is what it is. Tammie, I had to chuckle and chortle when I saw this because you and I talked on, I think, Friday, and then Saturday I got several emails and started looking at this, and it just really struck me. Government never moves quickly, right? Government is kind of this behemoth. It's like the Titanic. You try and turn it, and it's slowly. But right now, the folks at the Borough Assembly are just hell-bent for election, special election. To get this done, they want to get a special election on the books within the next 90 days to try and bust the tax cap, which has been here for 30 years. So first and foremost, talk about the tax cap, what it is, give us some, talk to me like I'm 5, like I have no idea what's going on. Tell me about the tax cap here and what it is.
So actually it's a revenue cap. We call it a tax cap because it does kind of put a ceiling on it. So it's a revenue cap, and based on how much that the borough can spend every year, can only go up by a certain percentage. So within that revenue cap does not include new construction, right? Because we figure if you're going to have new construction, more families move in, you're going to need more money. It doesn't count bonding. It doesn't count inflation. And so we have been told for over 30 years that if you have a voters initiative, that it was good for 2 years and nobody can change it. Well, obviously this new assembly we have does not agree with what we've heard from our legal friends for many, many years. And what they're doing is they're saying that if it's for a specific service, they can go back to voters. Well, there's several things wrong with this. First of all, the voters have voted at 60% plus for years, right? Without having really any type of advertising going out there. It's just by word of mouth, people know that this is a really good thing to be able to do. So we just got done getting signatures, which we have to get, right? Last August, submitted them in September to be on the ballot again this October. So it's in place right now. And it's patent up there in this ordinance, they then want $125,000 of our money to convince us to do what we've already told them we don't want to do.
Yeah, let's okay. Wait a second. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here, because I do want to talk about that. But I just want to.
The worst part of the whole thing. It's like,
I just want to point this out. You've already got the signatures. Everything's turned in. It's going to show up on the October ballot. It's all good and done. They are trying to subvert the process by calling for a special election 7 months ahead of the regular election, which you already have the ballot. I mean, if you wanted to be fair and equitable, they should just take the regular tax cap and put it on the special election with the other one and see which one wins. If that's what but see, they don't want to do that. And like you said, it's for the children. We need to get this on there because but you can't dedicate the funds. You can't do
that's
that.
what people don't know, right? Is you can't do that. So they're saying they're $28 million in the hole. They're blaming the governor for the additional $8 million that would come here that they didn't get. Okay. They get the $10 million, and you're right. They can take the $10 million the borough was going to give, right? And give them the same amount of money and utilize now that other $10 million now that frees up and grow borough government. I mean, Parks and Rec is like our biggest growth in the budget that we've had for years and years. And so to go out and act like you're going to give more money to education when you know there is no guarantee of that, it's just not being honest about the situation.
Right. And what's the justification, Tammie, for having it to be on a special election? I mean, that's my big question here. Because again, you've already got the signatures. The regular tax cap, the regular revenue cap is already on the ballot for October. Now it's a crisis, apparently. So we have to get it on. We have to get this special election on in 90 days. What's the justification for that?
It's budget time, right? They have to set the mill rate before, I think, around June 1st. It may be a little bit after June. So they're basically crying, saying that the borough can't reduce any government at all to give any extra money, to the schools, even though part of the plan, I believe, is like something like I heard it was like a new animal, building, control building to go in about $20 million. So it's not that the borough can't cut. The borough doesn't want to cut. So the borough wants to continue to grow, and they're using education funding as a reason that they need this special election. And like you said, there's no dedicated funds. There's no guarantee that this money goes to any kind of increase in education whatsoever. What this is literally breaking what's been there for a long time, and 9 people being able to make that decision for the rest of the voters when they've already come out and told them what they want.
Now, the problem with this is, and here's one of the challenges, if they get it on the special election and it passes, and then the people then vote in October on the regular revenue cap, what changes does this make to the long term? Because this is a fundamental long-term change, right, to the overall cap at that point.
Well, the damage has been done, right? Because so right now we have a cap that they have to do this budget underneath. They increase it by 10 million. We now have a new cap, right? Because a new formulation will happen. So even if we, which I'm sure we will, that we will, say, yes, we want to continue with the tax cap, that has now been raised by $10 million. So that's where that's the whole thing, is that they basically are resetting everything higher. So next year going into it, we'll have another increase because of all the things that lay outside of it, which basically means all the work we've done by trying to slim down government, the bonding, now that we're fixing schools before they really need to have any kind of bonding, since the state, stopped, paying for any of that whatsoever. And it just throws it all out the window. But I just, I don't want to see us pitting up against education, because that's really not what this is about. This is about, taking voters and saying, we don't care what you do. We're glad you voted for us. But now that you voted for us, we're going to ignore everything else that you've ever done. And we're going to use your money against you to convince you to do something that we already know you don't want.
So that brings us to the other point, because as you said, for 30 years, the tax cap has basically passed in the Fairbanks community, in the Fairbanks North Star Borough, with very little expenditures. I mean, I think maybe over the course of years, they may have bought, $1,000 a year in advertising, or just a minor little, reminder that this is on the cap. It was never any big ad campaign, but the borough has decided that they want to take $125,000 of taxpayer money and use it to basically promote the tax cap, this new cap buster. Now they'll say that it's educational. We're not advocating. It's educational, but they're going to tell you why you need it. That's advocating. I don't care what you say. That is advocating for what's going on. And $125,000, that's a lot of money for a 90-day, 60 or 90-day campaign. I mean, that's some stuff there.
Well, and they even tell you that they're going to use it to basically coerce you into voting their way. And I don't even know legally how you can do that, right? Because the whole point, I mean, I don't know how many times that we got lectured that it's not the place of the borough in any election, to do anything but put education information out there. Well, that means educating on both sides, not one side. And, if they think it's good, let them go raise their own funds to be able to do it. But yes, this election, this is how fast track it is. So Thursday night, they will move this ordinance forward, and it's ordinance number 2024-07. The following week, they'll discuss it. And on the 14th, they'll vote on to have the election on April 30th. And then it's okay, you have zero money and we have 125,000. So good luck.
You're literally talking about from zero to inception in 14 days. They're literally going to, in 2 weeks, they're going to pull out a special election and they're going to throw it up there and just, I mean, it especially, and again, the most insulting fact of this whole thing is that the tax cap is already on the October election. It's already set. And instead of putting up a competing one or no, they're going to hold. And we all know that special elections benefit special interests. That's almost always statistically how it rolls, that a special election is usually only attended by those with a special vested interest in making something happen.
Well, and the other people who should kind of worry, because in one of the whereases, they could get this extra money out of property taxes, tobacco taxes, hotel motel room taxes, alcohol taxes, marijuana products. They can raise all, so if they get this $10 million in it, it may not just be property taxes that get raised. All these other things could also get raised, because now they can collect more money and spend more money than they can right now. So this is not just about one group of people. This is about a whole lot of different things that can be done, but none of those right now are on the table. Why? Because they don't want to upset anybody until it gets passed. And if it gets passed, then they can add all these other things in there if they so choose. Nothing like telling the whole story.
Right. Well, and again, $10 million, if you tried to soak all the taxpayer, and I'm a borough taxpayer still, I still own property in the borough. I have to pay my property taxes every year, just like everybody else. And if they're going to try and soak us for another $10 million, that's a big hit on the entire borough, $10 million. overall. And again, with no guarantees that that money is going to go anywhere. Now, maybe they have the best of intentions, and that first year, maybe it will go to education. But what happens down the road? What happens the year after that? And the year after that? Where does this money go? And just think about it, $10 million a year for the next 10 years. Now you're talking about real money, real solid, hardcore money that you, the property taxpayers, are going to be on the hook for.
Well, and I love Section 5 because they even tell you outright, use the public funds to influence the outcome of election to the extent it is required by state statute and regulation, and in order to ensure voters are fully informed about the special election called in this ordinance, the use of borough money, first of all, it's not borough money, it's taxpayers' money, within existing appropriations is authorized to be used to communicate information that may influence the outcome of the election.
So they know.
Will ensure the appropriate Alaska PUP, so they're going to have to file with IPOC reports are filed if borough money is used pursuant to this section. So they even admit what they're doing.
Yeah, they know. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly which direction it's going. Tammie Wilson's our guest. We're going to continue here in just a second. Don't go anywhere. We'll talk about what you can do to try and put a stop to this, and what we need to do, what needs to happen. And hopefully folks out there in Fairbanks are listening right now. We'll be back with more of the Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Tammie Wilson, our guest.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes.
Allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Tammie Wilson is our guest here. Tammie, I thought I left all this stuff behind. I really did. I just thought, I'll leave all this stuff behind and it'll all be fine. And people will, at some point, I just was like, I was so frustrated by the time I left Fairbanks. I'll be honest with you. I just felt like this was that I just wasted 5 years of my life. Now, I know I was pretty proud of a couple things that came out of that, but just watching what was going on with the assembly and that leftward drift and that continual move to just spend more, to soak the taxpayers for more, to do all these special programs for things that we needed to do. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And especially the fact that they want to try and just ram through. People should be offended just by the rapidity of what's going on here. They're going to ram this through in 14 days. They need to get it on the ballot now. That should tell you something. That should, of anything else, if that should tell you something right now.
Well, we knew they were going to come after the tax cap. The mayor has, said, oh my gosh, we're not going to have enough money for government this year, and told us about it last year when he tried to add $17 million at the end for capital projects that weren't even ready to go whatsoever. But I'll tell you, everything I have read, and if we could afford an attorney, I am pretty sure, because one, you can't dedicate funds to education, which they'll say in the whole thing. And everything we've ever been told is that you can't break a citizens initiative for 2 years. You can't adjust it. You can't do anything to it. So they're basically telling us that since the school district isn't a taxing authority, the borough has to do this, in there. But where are they going to get? So let's say it even passes. They're saying they're $28 million in the hole. Where is the other 18 million coming from? This is like they're just filling a gap, right? They're not even making a dent in what the school district is saying the problem is.
Oh, that's just the beginning. Come on. This is just step one, Tammie. This is just step one.
Once they break it, they'll be able to break it every time. And the initiative will have no. Well, I can't say that because there are things that could be put into the initiative that would be better spelled out that could have stopped them from doing that, from my understanding. Some definitions and things like that. But just ignore voters. It's just crazy. And I guarantee you it'll most likely be a 7-2 vote, saying that, people have a right to vote. Well, why don't they have a right to be heard on the vote they already made?
Right, exactly. I mean, that's the thing, because supposedly the borough, now they're going to tell you, well, because this is a a citizens initiative, it bypasses the legal decision that says the borough assembly itself can't modify the tax cap for 2 years. They're going to say, well, this is a citizens initiative, or this is a, well, see, it's not a citizens initiative. That's the thing. I think that's one of the sticking points. This is going to be a borough initiative. This is a ballot question. This is not something that was spearheaded and grassroots up from the public, which is what the tax cap has been for the last 30 years. This is a borough initiative. I think there may be some legal grounds on that.
Right. And I guess, we've asked around and it sounds like we have to wait for it to pass to see if there's other legal things, that can be done. But then you've got to raise the funds for those legal fees. I mean, you're talking, just regular people have been putting in. And I know one of the questions in the chat, when do people need to show up? Well, first of all, they need to start emailing like right now, with the whole thing. We've already voted on this. We've already told them what we wanted. I don't know why we need to do it a second time, but the big meeting to where they'll move it forward will be the 14th. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to have people Thursday night because that's a special meeting to move it forward. But the more testimony and the more people we can keep getting in, like kind of ranked choice voting when we did it and we got them to change their mind, if we got to put things out there fast.
All right, we're going to rejoin here, and then we can lay out the timeline on this, and we can talk about this. Tammie Wilson is our guest. Doomed. The Michael. I just feel like, I just want that, at some point you're just like, okay, fine, do everything. We'll just wait for the whole thing to explode, and then we'll see what happens. Then we'll see how you like it. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. Let's do it. Here we go.
The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
All right, Tammie Wilson is our guest. Former legislator, assemblywoman, et cetera, all around activist and advocate in Fairbanks. So the question that's come up in the chat room several times is, okay, so what should we do? What do we need to do? There's a timeline on this, Tammie, as you said. The first meeting is going to be Thursday night. It's a special assembly meeting. This is what their discussion is going to be. Now, there's no public testimony for this one, is there?
Yeah, you can still testify on this only, right? You can't testify on anything else. And this will be just to move it forward. So whether they give any staff report or say anything, I mean, who knows? But I guess I want people to don't get stuck on, education funding. This is about $10 million more to the boroughs to spend on anything they want. So Thursday night's testimony, as Barbara says, at 5:30 really needs to hit on. We've already spoken. This has been in place, and again, got the signatures to have it on the ballot in October. If they don't like the tax cap, that's when it should be talked about, not a special election thrown at people, in the middle of winter.
And not expending $125,000 of the people's money, taxpayer money, to advocate for something that is not in their best interest. I mean, in my opinion, not in their best interest.
We already know it's not in their best interest. They wouldn't be voting for it. Like you said, the only advertising that the Interior Taxpayer Association has done the last few years is when they promote candidates and ask people to vote on the tax cap. But that's it. They put they put a newspaper ad in, once a year, once every 2 years to be able to do that, because people know it's the only way to be able to get the borough not to go, just crazy,
right,
spending money on anything they want to.
So this Thursday, 5:30 at the Borough Assembly Building, we should pack the chambers. If I was in town, I would be there 5:30, packing the chambers. You should be sending emails. Where do we send emails, Tammie? Assembly. Go ahead.
Yeah, you go right. Just go on the webpage for the FNSB. You can do them individually, which I always think is better, or you can send it to all of them. But make sure that you're bringing up the points of why this doesn't make any sense to be able to do it right now, ever. Why do an initiative? They could just break it in a special election.
Yeah, it's fnsb.us. So it's assembly at fnsb.us. If you go to fnsb.us, you can get the individual email addresses of the assembly members, and you can send an email to each one. Then that's the meeting where they're going to decide whether to forward it to the next meeting. Now, if they get enough hue and cry, maybe they stop it. But again, like you said, it's going to be a 7-2 vote. I imagine this is a shoe-in, unless you get a bunch of people in the chamber to take a stand, and it's a sea of angry faces shaking their fists at them saying, you can't do this. So let's just assume that they get it passed. Then it goes on to the 14th. So 2 weeks from then, it then goes to the main meeting, which is then when they decide and they actually take the vote to put it on the ballot. And that is on the 14th at the same time, right?
Right. So, well, it starts at 7 when they'll have testimony. The meeting starts at 6, but once it's on the agenda, which it will be on the 14th, then you sign up, specifically on it. Also in the chat, I have that Brett sponsored it. I'm assuming he's for it. I have talked to Brett, and he is not in favor of it. He believes people should always get to vote, but I don't think he quite understood that we've already voted on that, and we're kind of having discussions. But he already told me he is completely against them going to be able to do this.
Which I haven't had a chance to talk to him yet, but that was going to be my question to him. You sponsored it, but you're against it. That seems counterintuitive. So we'll see if we can talk to him about that in the next week or so. But yeah, I mean, he is against it. It's which again, why would you sponsor it if you're against it? But I think this is one of those times when you need to go in there and pack the chambers. That's the only time.
Absolutely. You got 3 brand new members, right? Who don't know the history of the tax cap, I'm sure. And so if nothing else, they need to be more educated. And I think they also need to know we're just not going to roll over and let this happen. That, we may not have $125,000 to do it, but if we all band together, use our own social media and other ways of being able to get it out, people will get the word and be able to know. And what I find interesting is, we try to change the election from October to November and heard, it would cost so much money to have any election. So now we're going to have a special election on one item that's not even necessary to be able to do because they don't want to make any choices whatsoever. And it all comes back to the mayor. You can blame anybody you want, but the mayor set this up a few weeks ago, starting to talk about how the borough wasn't going to be able to give the school district any extra money whatsoever, without any explanation on, hey, how much has a borough grown in the last few years? A lot. And I remember, don't you remember when you sat there on the assembly, how far away from the tax cap we were? We are so far under the tax cap,
right.
Problem whatsoever. And we've heard that years and years now. All of a sudden, the first time is like, oh my goodness, we don't have any money. Well, why don't you have any money? Supposedly the borough is still growing, or is it? And when do you have to make? I mean, people are homeschooling now. They're going to charter schools. They're going to other alternative places, and you have to shift your type of teaching, your type of other things. And, and that's one discussion, but I just want people to really understand that money is not new money going to the schools. That $10 million can offset what the borough was going to give. And that 10 million can literally go into growing more borough government.
We talked about this last week that, that education systems, that the education industrial complex needs to be as responsive to the economy as any other organization or business. If your demand base contracts, meaning you have fewer students, then you need to then contract your expenditures to match that. I mean, down in Anchorage, they've got, 7,000 empty student seats for K through for primary, K through 6 or whatever. They've got 7,000 empty seats. And if it's 500 students per school, that's 14 schools that they should consider shutting down. And it's supposed to, and they're already reporting the numbers this year is another 1,200 on top of that. So you've got over 8,000 empty student seats just in grades 1 through 6. you have to start contracting. And you can't just, sure, shift some of the teachers to the other schools, but you can't send extra janitors and administrative staff and everything else from schools you've closed over to, it just doesn't happen. They have to, again, be accountable and be reactionary to what's going on in the economy, just like everybody else. But it seems like this is just protectionism. We're going to protect none of these people shouldn't lose their jobs. Why? Businesses have closed. Businesses have closed down, branch locations and things like that as the economy's gotten tight. They didn't retain all their employees. That's called life. It happens. You just can't keep spending money like it's going out of style.
Right. But I think, the important part we need to really drill down is that we don't want to pit education against the borough, right? I mean, the whole point is that, the borough is the one that needs to look at what they're spending, what is it going to? Is it what people want, and, go out with those projects that they want? Because this is for operating. This is not money for capital projects. That comes out. We have a capital improvement program that most of those projects come out of. So this is growing operations, not growing, anything else. And again, without being able to dedicate funds to anything, it's kind of like the lottery. Think about all the lotteries in all the states, right? That lottery money is going to schools. We're going to make better schools with lotteries. And if you go back and you go look into the budgets of those states, all they do is, and give Illinois, if Illinois is going to give $100 million to schools and they raise $50 million in the lottery, they just decrease that amount that the state gives. That's not additional funds. And that's the same thing here. This is not additional funds for anything but the borough government itself.
Right. They'll offset it. Yeah, they'll offset it and use that $10 million to then expand the size and scope of government, which again is something that we don't. Can you not read the room? Have you not looked at what's going on with the private economy? This is, again, part of the problem is that we have this huge disconnect at the state level from the public and the private economy. And here is an attempt by the borough to try and sublimate that and do exactly the same thing. It is try and separate it out and say, well, we need it no matter what. Again, probably with the best of intentions. I'm sure that they probably think in their heart of hearts, this is going to be going to education. And maybe it will on year 1. But what about year 2 and year 3 and year 5 and year 10? What happens then? What happens then?
Well, they talked about the COVID funding, and that's part of the problem. The COVID funding is pretty much gone. So they have grown government because all this free money has come in and they've been able to start programs and do other programs. And now guess what? Now there's no way to fund it. And I think if you look really deep into what caused this problem, it's because instead of using it for, because I know they did it for the busing system, they've done it for a whole bunch of different things that they've
one-time funding. Instead of using one-time funding for one-time expenditures, they use one-time funding to start and support ongoing expenditures or to replace ongoing expenditures. And now they've created the crisis all their own. Oh my God, we're out of money. Well, yeah, because you used one-time funding to pay for ongoing expenditures and offset that, and then said, we're going to go start something else with the other money. This is exactly what happened in Anchorage, where they paid teachers salaries with one-time expenditure money. And then the next go around, they're like, wait, we're out of money. We need more. That's what you get.
Yeah. And the same thing for the last 4 years, it's been money there, right? And they put it in. And now all that money, I think they've got a little bit of it left, but it's got to be allocated, ready to go and spent by 2025. So the bulk of it, and I know the school district had a lot of it. And this is what we brought up the last 3 years. They were putting it into teachers, right? They'd make cuts and then put it into teachers, which I'm not saying they needed or didn't need, but they were using money that wasn't going to be there forever. And, and if you look back and figure out how did we get where we're at, sadly enough, that's where it's at. The state did the same thing, right? With all the oil money. They didn't do capital projects. We didn't build new roads. We didn't get better access. We spent it in operating. Now the money's drying up and now we're going, what do we do now? We don't have that money for the operating that we didn't have money for in the first place.
Right. We've used those one-time expenditures over and over again. And now it's a crisis gasp. I mean, like you couldn't see that coming. Like, I mean, they were warned. They were actually told not to, the states, when they got those COVID monies, all the various states and municipalities, they were warned, this is a one-time deal. Don't use these for reoccurring costs. Use these for one-time expenditures. And many, many states said no. They just said no. They did what they wanted to do with it. And they then all of a sudden gasp, it's a crisis. Like you couldn't see it coming.
Right.
So,
And now to use your money against you, it's just the icing on the cake, and that's what people need to understand is that they don't even believe in what they're doing. They're going to, I mean, $125,000 for our borough to coerce, that's a lot of money. That's more money than most candidates or anybody else will be able to put in and raise. Yet, hey, we'll use your money against you because you're just not smart enough to figure it out with our help. I mean, that's what they're saying.
Well, and what's the actual cost of the special election? We haven't even talked about that. We're going to continue here. Tammie Wilson's our guest. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense, Liberty Base, Free Thinking Radio.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
Tammie Wilson, our guest here on the program. I mean, this is the thing you could see coming. I mean, this is the train wreck that you could see coming when you realize that they were expending this COVID money on things that were reoccurring.
Yeah.
And what they do is they'd say, okay, so we're going to take I'll just pick a number. We're just going to take this $4 million that we were going to spend on salaries, and we'll use the one-time funding for that. And then we'll take the $4 million that we were going to spend on salaries, and we'll create and start new things, and we'll do this over here. And then what happens? Well, wait, it's gone. And now we've got $8 million, and now we're out of money. We're short, and it's the governor's fault. And it's insane.
Well, and that 125,000, like you said, doesn't even include the educational cost that's going to happen here because it's very specific in the ordinance that money is education purposes to, tell people basically what they're going to need to be able to do to make this happen. So that's another cost of money. So that is all leftover money, right? This is money that they're taking that was supposed to be expended somewhere else, and they're now going to use it for this election. So obviously they didn't run out of money this year. But you're right. They're blaming everybody else for their problems,
And how much money is actually, that's the other thing. How much money is left, from COVID money? How much are they still sitting on? They got a gratis period, right? Because the administration arbitrarily said, oh, okay, it won't be 2024. You got to spend the money. Now you got to encumber it by 2025 and blah, blah, blah. Gave him an extra year. But it's like the Anchorage thing, we're $98 million in the hole. Well, David Boyles pointed out they've got $74 million sitting in their account right now. Much of it is COVID money. They're well beyond what their fund balance is supposed to be by statute or by code. So what's going on there? And it's astonishing.
Well, and I do think the school district has taken most of their money down. But like I said, our big concern, and we even brought it up in the last 3 years, is when they continue to bring us what they were spending the COVID money on. And it was all in operating. It was to bring, to pay for teachers and aides to be there without knowing what else they were going to be able to do, once that money runs out. So I don't believe the school district in itself has any money left. The borough has some from capital projects that they just passed, we just talked about an ordinance to reappropriate that money as well. But what nobody has talked about, especially in the schools, when people leave, and I ask this as a legislator, does anybody call these parents and find out where did they go? What can, if they're still in town and they just chose homeschooling or, some other type of, private schooling. I mean, you learn by those, sadly enough, who have left and figure out, where do they need to go. Homeschooling, they make over $2 million off their homeschooling program, that goes within that portion of it. If that where parents are heading, do they need to, upgrade it and make that, the new model program? But Kids don't learn or don't even want to sit in the same type of setting than you and I, did, because it's a totally different world out there, and parents have a lot more options to homeschool. You homeschooled your kids. I homeschooled my kids, and I can't believe all the stuff that's out there now to really help parents be able to do that. Where before it was like, I had to find all my own stuff. No, there was no
right. I know you had
stuff, right?
Yeah. Now you've got, IDEA, which is actually old hat now, things like IDEA and Cyberlinks. And now you got, charter schools, Montessori, pandemic pods or learning pods, teacher share programs where you paid a retired teacher to come in and teach some of the, a group of kids from various households. I mean, there's dozens of different and independent study. Some people are just doing it on their own, and God love them. I mean, it's amazing. And it's happening across the country. The absenteeism rate is astonishing too, by the way. We're going to do a show on that probably next week with Sarah Montalbano from Alaska Policy Forum. The absenteeism rate around the country is in some places upwards of 40%. That means 40% of the kids are missing 10 days of school or more a year. And it's because in many cases, sometimes the parents don't care. That happens. Other times it's because the parents are not as they're teaching them at home. They're doing both the regular school and they're teaching them at home. And many kids are just being pulled out and being taught on their own. And this is throwing everything into a tailspin, but we've got to acknowledge that this is where things are going. If you look at those declining enrollment numbers, you have to realize that the school districts across the country, not just here in Alaska, but across the country, are going to have to pull their horns in and make their expenditures match the students that they have. And if you've got a 20%, 25% empty seat, ratio of enrollment, you're going to have to reduce your expenditures by 20 or 25%. That's what's going to happen.
Well, and although, we can talk about education all day, this really is about influencing elections. And that's what people need to understand.
Yep. All right. We got to continue here. Tammie Wilson is our guest. One final segment, The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that stuff. Here we go. We're gonna continue. The pain. All right, one final segment. Tammie Wilson is our guest. I'm sorry, I just looked at a comment from Fat Ray on YouTube. He says, the people don't give a rip about what the citizens think. The people in the assembly, I think is what he's saying. They'll just adjourn the meeting and then call the people who attended domestic terrorists. I mean, that's what's happened in the past with school board meetings, right? Yeah. I mean, it's happened. So Tammie, you just said something that I think is important, that in the end, this is really not about education. This is about monkeying in elections. This is about election manipulation, starting and creating a special election, which we don't even know how much a special election is going to cost. I'm assuming that's not even talked about in the bill. Like, how much is it going to cost the citizens?
I didn't see it in the ordinance, no, but about the cost.
But on top of that, they're going to expend $100,000+ on education to the public, because we obviously aren't smart enough to figure it out for ourselves. And $125,000 is a lot of money in a small community to educate people on what's good. Which, again, I had this argument for many years when the school boards would put money up into the school bond issues, and they said, oh, it's for education. But if you read it, it was always how great it would be to get the school bonds passed, how much we needed it, and how your children would benefit. It was proselyte. It was advocating for the passage of the bills. And this is going to be the same thing, which is blatantly illegal. Somebody needs to bring some legal magnification on this thing.
Well, and I think the whole point is that, I mean, yes, we can fight this legally, but if we actually get out to vote, right? And that's been the problem, is getting out to vote. We're all like, let somebody else do it, or we don't like elections, or they cheat, or whatever. Well, when you don't vote, they do. And the borough's going to make this all about education. What we need to make this is that we've voted year after year, every 2 years for what? Decades. that we wanted the tax cap to be in place and we wanted the borough to abide by it. We just voted on it, 18 months ago, got the signatures last year. So this is not like something that's been sitting on the shelf and we've been ignoring it. And so, the assembly is all supposed to be about you, right? And what you want. Well, it's not about you, or else they wouldn't have to spend $125,000 to convince you that you're wrong, that all these votes, people didn't know what they were voting for. Well, when you sign the petition, you've done petition drives just like I have. That whole ordinance, what it's going to look like, is right there for everybody to read. So it's nothing being hidden here.
Well, all I had to do was look at the fact that they are fast tracking this thing, that in 2 weeks from introduction to actual vote, in 2 weeks, they're going to try and force a special election. That's all I had to see. Because to me, government never moves fast. This is not the crisis that they say it is, and they're going to try and force this through. That's an immediate red flag for me. All right, so Tammie, let's back this up. What can people do again? Walk us through it. What is the timeline of what's happening, and what do people need to do?
So first of all, you need to start emailing right now. Whether you voted or you haven't voted, but all the people who signed the petition, everybody who's voted on this, needs to let the assembly know that you've already told them what you want to have happen. That's first and foremost. Thursday at 5:30, and it's been a long time, I think, since the assembly chambers has been filled. It's not going to be one of these long, drawn-out meetings because the only thing on the agenda is going to be this one moving forward. So they have to move it forward. So that's quick to start with. And less than a week, we have found out that this is about to happen. We just also found out Thursday or Friday that they're going to do this. And then on the 14th is when, so first of all, if we have enough people and we can convince them, they can just kill this off on February 1st, on Thursday night, this Thursday night, a few nights from now. If it moves forward, which we're pretty sure it's going to move more, forward, then on the 14th, then have discussion. You'll be able to, again, tell them what you want to do. But emails do work. You need to, we had ranked choice voting come up and people emailed out of this world. And even the sponsors of the bill went and said, no, we're not going to do it. People have spoken. So everybody out there needs to let them know. And like I said, base it on, it's not right for the $125,000 to be spent of our money. It's not the borough money. It's our money, our taxpaying money, to be able to convince us on something we've already signed to be on this October election and have voted for decades. To say that there hasn't been any discussion, it's just not, right. And they know that. And to come in this and pit it up against something else when there's no dedicated funds, again, you cannot dedicate funds. So this $10 million is growing government. It is not for one specific issue like they're wanting to make it believe, but that's how they think they can break it. And that's why they're doing that.
So if you're taking notes out there and you're planning on showing up this Thursday at 5:30 at the Borough Assembly meeting, your talking points should be: 1, there's no need for a special election since the signatures have already been gathered for the October vote. And that current law is still in place. And secondly, the fact that they're going to try and push it through in 2 weeks makes no sense other than, it's somebody's pushing a special agenda. And thirdly, the fact that they're going to expend $125,000 of your money, taxpayer money, to try and sway the outcome of this. They call it education, but it's going to sway the outcome of this election. Those 3 things should be your talking points when you write an email or if you get up there in front of the assembly this Thursday and speak to them. It's insulting that they're taking the vote of the people who voted 18 months ago to keep the tax cap going. That's been going for 30 years. They're going to try and change it because they know better than us. This is not a citizens initiative that they're trying to push like the tax cap is. The revenue cap is a citizens initiative and always has been. This is a borough. The genesis of this is from the Borough Assembly. They're the ones that are pushing this. They can't change it by ordinance, so they're going to try and put it on the ballot. That's not right. That's an end run around the system, quite honestly. And they should not be doing it.
That means any initiative you do, here's the bigger picture. Even beyond this, if they can break this one, they can break any of them. And that's really the bigger picture. If we lose this on April 30th, that means all the signature we get for anything, they'll find an in round, they'll just go around you and use your money to win and not even go out there legitimately and talk to people.
Right. You put some other citizens initiative up there that does whatever. And 3 months later, the assembly gets together. They decide that they want to call another special election. They expend $100,000 in citizens' funds to go out there and hold a special election, which will have a smaller turnout. Again, special elections only serve special interests, and they will serve, and the special interests will get out there and they will vote it and they will overturn it. It will destroy the citizens' initiative process.
Absolutely. I mean, that, for the bigger picture, that is absolutely correct. There's already a process. They know the process, and they're finding a way to where. So this is just testing the waters, to be able to do that. I mean, it's all or nothing on this election happening on April 30th. If you want to keep this sacred, where you always have that option of pulling back government, you have to tell everybody to be able to get out and vote no on this, and don't allow it to go forward.
All right, so the last 2 minutes. So again, this Thursday, 5:30 at the Borough Assembly Building.
Yes.
Okay, so they need to get and if we get enough people there, they may actually vote it down. Now we're not hopeful on that because there's a 7-2 kind of majority in the assembly that wants to make this stuff happen. So,
if you don't show up, they will do it. So that's their alternative. We know for sure they will.
Yeah, they absolutely will pass it if nobody shows up. So, but if the room is packed, there's a possibility it could get denied right there on the spot. But if it does pass, then we have to come back on the 14th, Thursday, 2 weeks later, when they're going to actually vote to put it on the ballot on a special election. And again, no fiscal note on the cost of the election. Oh, that seems dubious. That seems like that's not fiscally responsible, Tammie.
Right. And that 125,000, you don't know what's going to go into what, except to coerce your vote. And they say that in there. So, if you go back and look at what we're saying today, you can go and look right at the ordinance, and it's written in there what they're going to use that money for. So we're not
read that section real quickly. Read that section again, section 5. Read what it says.
Oh, I gotta find again. But it says to literally to influence your, vote, even though they make it sound like you can't even. Here we go. Use of public funds to influence outcome of an election to the extent it is required by the state statute in order to ensure voters are fully informed about the special election called for this ordinance. The use of borough money within existing appropriations is authorized to be used to communicate information that may influence the outcome of the election. They're going to have to even go to APOC because they know that they're going to use money.
They're going to
influence the election.
They're trying to give themselves an out right here. It's astonishing. All right, Tammie, thank you so much. Folks, we'll see you on Thursday, I'm assuming, there at the Borough Assembly meeting. And I appreciate you coming on board and sharing with us today.
Thank you. You have a great day.
Folks, we're out of time. We got to go. Tomorrow, Brad Keithley, Chris Story, The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. Be kind, love one another, live well. That's some balls. That's some big, hairy brass balls when they're putting it in the ordinance saying, we know we're going to break state law right here. We know we're going to do it. And we're acknowledging it up front to give ourselves some cover for it. It's astonishing. I mean, it's just astonishing that people are out there. I just don't even know. So Thursday, 5:30 p.m., Borough Assembly Building.
Yep,
be there. Send an email to assembly@fnsb.gov or .us. Either one of them works, I think. But fnsb.us, if you go there, you can actually get the individual emails for each assembly members. And you can send an email to each one of them and then show up on top of it. You might as well just do it all.
Right, and it is fnsb.gov. So you got to put .gov or you're not going to get it to them. But just go on the website and you can just hit a button and it'll send to all of them if you want to do the easy way.
All right. Well, thanks, Tammie.
No, thank you. I mean, we got a little time to get it out, so
it's insane,
isn't it? Interesting.
Just insane. All right. Thank you, Tammie. We appreciate you being part of it. We'll talk to you again soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. Okay, folks, that does it for today. Tomorrow is another one. We'll see you then. Have a great day. Go shovel. You got to shovel. I can tell you right now.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.